pathetic worm. You dare to argue with your master?
It was not you whom I swore to serve within these walls. My lips are sealed.
Confess! What was the old man's last command? What are you planning?
Give up, Keeper. You have lost this battle. Again.
We're getting nowhere with these ones, sir. Permission to execute them.
A tall man stops you with a gesture when you approach. Blood is trickling down the pearly scales of his weary face, and not just his own blood. Two jet-black unblinking eyes are watching your every move, and the third one, the mark of a navigator's fate, is menacingly pulsing behind the lowered lid in the middle of his forehead.
Step back, or I will unleash all the horrors of the Sea of Souls upon you. Emperor, be my witness.
Desist, brother. It was the Emperor's will that brought me to this abode.
The navigator frowns.
No one has the right to interpret his will so freely, brother. But wait, I recognize your coat of arms. You must be a lord of the Von Valancius dynasty? Yes, I am absolutely positive, in fact. And since fate has brought such an important person into my abode, allow me to introduce myself. Before you stands Felek Christoph August, keeper of this station. So, you did not come to offer support to the traitors? This is great news. Having said that, you must understand that Urak V is a holy sanctum for House Orselio, and the path to it is only revealed to a select few. It pains me to say you are not on the guest list.
I am looking for the Lord Inquisitor's interrogator, one Heinrich van Calix. Do you know anything about his present location?
The Lord Inquisitor's interrogator? I think I would know if such an important individual decided to pay us a visit.
What is happening on the station? Where did all these corpses come from?
Betrayal. A most banal thing in the life of the Nobilite, don't you think? I was stabbed in the back by my closest friend Theobald Orselio, the second keeper of Urak V and my mentor. On his instructions, my own people sabotaged the generators, blew up the shuttles, and brutally massacred the loyal servants of my mistress. Most unforgivably, they dared to take her prisoner. Greedy scum, I swear by the throne's light, their souls will perish in the darkness of the void.
Felek falls silent for a few moments and then furiously slams the end of his staff into the floor.
The madmen have captured Lady Kasha and are now torturing her upstairs while we are idly chatting down here. Help me rescue her or begone, but waste no more of my precious time.
I still have questions concerning the situation on the station.
Our idle chatter will not save Lady Kasha, but if you need to be sure of something before you can help, so be it.
Tell me about your mistress.
Regretfully, I am not allowed to discuss my mistress, whether with her retinue or the outsiders. She will tell you about herself personally if she feels like it. That is, assuming she survives. I am begging you not to waste any more of our precious time, for it is running out.
What makes you think your mistress is still alive?
A spark of concern flickers in the black pits of Felek's eyes.
You may not believe me, but Lady Kasha is capable of.
The navigator cringes, seemingly in pain, and furiously exhales.
Incredible things. Not even the traitor Theobald can easily harness her power.
My men have reported that the station is in a deplorable state.
The navigator irritably brushes away a strand of bloodied hair.
Trust me, I should know. Everything happened too quickly. There were dozens of reports of accidents, victims, and failing systems. But the only precious thing aboard this station is Lady Kasha's life. Everything else is futile and can be easily replenished.
Why did you not respond to the messages from Rykad Minories?
I have already said Urak V is sacrosanct. It is the holy domain of the novice nobilite, and it is forbidden for commoners from the world below. We had hoped to solve the crisis on our own, but when the situation spiraled out of control, we could not establish contact because the traitors had disabled our equipment.
Enough questions.
I hope your curiosity is fully satisfied.
What kind of help are you talking about?
I would never ask you for such a favor under different circumstances, and yet,
Felek takes his hand away from his rib cage, notices blood, and winces in pain.
Lady Cash's well-being is above all. I haven't got many people left, and my wounds are too deep for me to act with precision and swiftness. But you may actually succeed. In order to ascend to the mistress's chambers, you will need to remake a holy relic sanctified with the blood of Lady Urselio herself. This is the control rod of the elevator machine spirit. I have one part, and the other was lost during the mutiny. But even this relic will be of no use unless the elevator mechanism is powered.
How do I remake the control rod?
I have a phylactery containing the mistress's blood. It needs to be taken to the laboratory, which is located behind one of the reliquary doors. The most ancient of sacred mechanisms will help to rebuild the rod. The tech priests ceaselessly performed the rites of appeasement so that the machine spirit would serve the house in its time of need. The fateful hour is now upon us.
So how am I supposed to power the elevator?
The station's main cogitator is situated in the guard room. Just enter the correct command sequence, and the sacred mechanism will do the rest.
If it is so simple, why don't you do it yourself?
I never said the feat would be easy to accomplish. The path to the laboratory and the guard room is blocked by the very same madmen who took over the station. They will not negotiate and are not afraid of displeasing the novice nobilite or incurring the Emperor's wrath. They bow only to brute strength, something which I currently happen to lack.
Why should I help you?
You came to this station for a reason. House Urselio will not be able to help you until the current crisis is resolved. But if you aid us now, I promise we will reach an agreement that you will find satisfying, be it riches, influence, or the powers of our navigators.
I guess that makes sense.
So what have you decided, descendant of the Von Valancius line?
The woes of your house upset the balance of power in this part of the galaxy. I will help you if not for the sake of profit, but for the good of the Imperium.
Felek nods curtly.
You should hurry, then. We will stay here to hold the line and lick our wounds. Good luck, rogue traitor, and may the Emperor's light be with you.
With each step, I forge my destiny among the stars.
The corpses were mauled by a force far beyond any mortal capacity. The faces are twisted in pain and the hands are fused with improvised weapons, tools, scissors, and cutlery.
Address your questions to Master Felek. Address your questions to Master Felek.
Bright, pure color. And it's all riddled with horrible veins that carry the poison of fear and pain throughout its body. Who are you? Why are you crying?
If the witch is talking about the enemies of humanity who set upon this abode of noble navigators, then our weapons will soon dispel their wicked misery.
We should deal with to look closer.
The Emperor favors me today. Duty prevails.
Let us walk this path to the end. The duty
Most of these unfortunate souls took their own lives by slicing their guts wide open.
Grovel before the faithful.
Death to his enemies!
Through pain and hardship, we prove our devotion.
I will bathe this battlefield in righteous fury. As the enemy suggested. Doubt
Weapon at the ready. Pain of this mortal flesh means nothing. The Emperor commands. And so it shall be done. Break through pain and hardship, we prove our devotion.
Anything?
Follow my lead.
A tactically sound approach. I will do my duty. At your beck and call.
High momentum.
the enemies of the Emperor will be undone. As the Emperor commands, I act.
Reduced to dust.
Why did I not foresee this?
With you at my side, victory is within our grasp.
Will do.
Be gone.
My place is at the fore. It will be done.
God Emperor, move through me. Be the fire in my heart.
Onward! Crippled in body, then corrupt in mind. I will... I have
Statue
proven
by the
myself
famous
yet
Calician
again.
sculptor and chronicler Zacharias Vernon the Magnificent. The 23rd year of this millennium. Original.
We are bound by the blood of
The
marshes.
library is full of treatises by the most distinguished scholars of the Imperium, from Astra Militarum tacticians to Adeptus Mechanicus genitors.
Attention to detail is the key to success.
The Emperor gave me a vision.
Never
Know
doubt me.
your duty.
Argenta, don't you find it difficult to be without your sisters? You are a soldier without a squad.
I will fight alongside my sisters again. But my present fate is not a burden to me. No matter where I go, or who I am with, I bring death to heretics. That is what matters.
Nothing's impossible for this old officer.
I rise
Unlocked.
above hardships. Stay faithful, and you will be rewarded.
The Emperor favors me today.
Let the faith guide my path to glory. The divine watches over us. The duty
Unlocked.
prevails.
The crew continues to mourn Lady Theodora. I fear it may affect the performance of their duties in service of the Lord Captain.
In his service, will they find
Unlocked.
strength and fortitude? Only thus will they turn their hearts away from the frailties that lead to heresies.
For some reason, the archenemy's twisted influence has found its way into the station.
It hurts so much. The pain in my chest. We are done for. They'll kill us all. I can't take this anymore.
The cogitator's vidscreen is covered in cracks and stained with dried blood. The buttons, switches, and levers were ripped out of the control panel with exceptional cruelty and scattered around the sacred mechanism that now sparks and hisses in agony, still refusing to perish. You turn a few of the remaining dials and pull the activation lever. The cracked vidscreen of the sacred engine flickers. The cogitator's insides emit creaks and groans, and the lumens oscillate at random. It takes a while, but eventually the machine spirits do grant you access to the cogitator's systems. Request data on the station's navigators. After a brief pause, the data appears on the vid screen. Felek Orselio. Location, Main Hall. Status, alive. Theobald Orselio. Location, Upper Chambers. Status, alive. Calamira Orselio. Location, Upper Chambers. Status, deceased. Alexius Orselio. Location, lower levels. Status, deceased. Rasmus Estevan Orselio. Location, unknown. Status, deceased. The child. Location, upper chambers. Biometric parameters, rapid heartbeat, elevated body temperature, stress level exceeds the permissible limit. Status, unknown error. Attention. Calming procedures advised. Attention. Upper chambers inaccessible. Error, the control rod is not present. If the rod has been misplaced, immediately contact a station keeper or the novice laboratorum custodian. Examine the log. The archive data stored on the cogitator's local data crypt is partially corrupted, but you still manage to access the residual logs for examination. View Vox Report 12A890. The Vox recording hisses for some time before you hear a voice. This is Officer A-282, do you copy? Several generators overheated on the lower levels, chambers A to D are unpowered. The Tech Priest crew sent to investigate the problem is not responding. Requesting back. The officer's speech is interrupted by shouting and the recording abruptly ends. Officer H-123 speaking. 200 servants have perished due to explosive decompression of the living quarters. We've located traces of mechanical interference. The preliminary cause is officer sabotage. Crews 5, 6, and 9 are cut off from the main compartment. We have enough oxygen for 20 minutes, may the Emperor save our souls. Senior station officers, this is the captain speaking. We attempted to contact the Winter Scale Scion for help, but something is jamming the signal. We never received a reply and cannot be sure it was even sent in the first place. A rescue team is not coming. We are on our own, so remain vigilant. Anyone could be a traitor, you hear me? Anyone. If you are in doubt, shoot to kill. The following Vox recordings are too badly distorted to make out even a single word. Examine the recent entries of the incident log. Report X-880 originator, classified. Date, classified. The servants close to the child have started butchering one another again. An order came from above to have their remains reprocessed. Report X-886 originator, classified. Date, classified. The negotiations with the Winter Scales were a success. A new batch of servants will arrive in 10 moons. Escort them to the laboratory at once. It is imperative that we increase the new retainer's resistance to the child's powers. Report X-891 originator, classified. Date, classified. Data expunged. Examine the station's docking log. The log is almost completely corrupted, but you managed to recover the latest entry. Identity confirmed, Regent Aranto Orselio. Date of visit, classified. Reason for visit, classified. Date of departure, classified. Examine the security and life support logs. The yellow lights above the control panel flicker to life and a singular repeating message streams down the vid screen. Warning. Damage in technical compartments A-12, B-3, D-8, and H-24 detected. Warning. Living quarters L-10, L-16, L-28 depressurized. Warning. Unable to access the station's docking system. Warning. Energy regulation system, unknown error. The station will transfer over to emergency power. Immediate evacuation of the facility is advised. Warning. View the encrypted data. Something buzzes in the cogitator's metallic gut. Several red lumens light up above the vid screen. Required access level, security captain or above. Current access level, senior security officer. 1. Tech use, 75%. Break through the Machine Guardian's defenses. You easily bypass the restrictions imposed on the sacred machine. The Cogitator's overloaded processors were unhappily. Most of the encrypted data has been wiped. You find traces of the Purge protocol. Recovery is impossible, but a list of the most recent commands, having been embedded in the machine spirit's consciousness, now flits across the screen in a single creeping line. Child Elita picked flow disable access coding yol station controls dela t activate shuttle self-destruct purge command log. Exploring the archives for a while longer yields a surviving excerpt from the guard captain's report mentioning that the security system had recently been reconfigured without his knowledge. His comment reads, "Only the keepers of the station have access to the life support systems, but Keeper Theobald had not left the child's side, and neither had I. Could it be that?" Return to the list of the available commands. The vid screen blinks and the mechanisms in the machine's core emit a quiet hum. Call Rykad Minories for help. The system cannot carry out your command despite the eager compliance of the machine spirits. One thing is certain, the problem does not lie in the Cogitator's mechanisms. Switch to the main chamber controls. The cogs within the sacred mechanism slowly start turning with heavy grinding and clacking. The tired machine spirits grant you access to the station control, or at least its parts that still obey the Cogitator. Open all doors on the level. The Cogitator's vid screen goes dark as if the machine spirits had fled their mechanical casket. But your assumption is incorrect, as it fills with static just a few moments later. You can barely make out an inscription amidst the flow of rapidly changing symbols. The Cogitator takes a few moments to gather the data from the station's active systems. According to the report, this door has already been opened. You push a few buttons on the control panel, but the system rebels and keeps resetting your commands. According to the data, the compartment you are trying to open is depressurized. The Cogitator takes a few moments to gather the data from the station's active systems and produces the following message. The protocol has been executed. The passage has been opened. Main elevator controls. A few manipulations with the switches make you realize the elevator to the upper chambers is blocked. Activate the elevator. Processing query confirmed. You thank the machine spirits and reset the operating protocol.
With each step, I forge my destiny among the stars.
Heresy has found its way into the walls of this esteemed house. It is a black day for the Navi's Nobilite.
Synthetic amniotic fluid pools across the floor. Barely discernible traces stretch to the side opposite the entrance. The caustic stench of reagent sears your nostrils and broken glass crunches underfoot. Somebody wanted to destroy the laboratory. Or find something.
so shall it be done.
They all just lost their minds. Please, don't kill me.
Let us walk this path to the end.
Compared to naval service, that was barely a challenge.
A control rod is required. Felek Orselio looks a little better. His tangled hair is now neatly braided, his wounds are tightly bandaged, and there is some healthy color under the scales on his cheeks.
You dealt with the threat and powered the elevator. Well done. I trust you brought the activation rod as well. Remember, every second of hesitation may cost my mistress her life.
Idira suddenly cocks her head and drives her nails deep into her shoulder. Then she starts mumbling.
The crossroads, there are two paths, both stained with blood, both leading to the accursed eye. They all wear masks, so poor and flimsy, they fall at the slightest touch, one hiding a blind man, another a traitor.
Tell me more. What paths?
I cannot say. One is paved with blind faith, the other with hatred and treachery. Both lead to tragedy. You simply have to decide what kind of tragedy you like the most.
Who is who? Who do you see behind the masks?
My whisperers are giggling nastily. They will not speak, the naughty little things. They say that tearing off the masks is your concern.
Thank you. Everything is clear now.
Idira nods tiredly and glances at Felek out of the corner of her eye.
This station has enough problems without your sorcery, Psyker.
Felek waves Idira off and looks at you expectantly.
I have many questions regarding what happened on the station.
You think they are worth the life of my mistress?
Who is the child mentioned in the documents and reports found on the station?
You meddled with something that should have been left alone.
The keeper folds his arms and shakes his head disapprovingly.
The child is what the station's servants call Lady Kasha, for the commoners' dirty mouths must not sully her name by uttering it. You see, it is not beneficial for all servants to have their vocal organs altered. Some prove to be more useful when they are still able to speak.
The madmen I fought were convinced that we were the traitors.
Felek gives an indifferent shrug.
That's why they are insane. Will you really heed the ramblings of retainers who dared to raise their hand against the scions of a noble bloodline?
The servants alone cannot be blamed for what happened on the station. Most corpses I discovered were either unarmed or feeble.
Did you really think mere servants could plan a coup? The senior officers are just as guilty. Half of my guards butchered one another because they suspected treason. As for the real culprit, the coup was staged by those closest to the mistress.
Destroying the shuttles, shutting off the power, and disabling the security systems. Too many things required special access. Access available only to the keeper of the station.
As I'm sure you are aware, there were two keepers of the station. Your guess is absolutely correct. Theobald Orselio, the demented old man obsessed with Lady Kasha and her power, and also the one to blame for the woes that have befallen Urak V and our noble line.
I listened to a recording of a private conversation between the station's officers. You were very lenient toward them, purposefully neglecting the security protocols.
I was lenient, this is true, and in the end I paid a steep price for it. Just look at the destruction around us. The insurgents have left almost nothing of my home.
The keeper spits out the last few words with particular bitterness.
I saw the security captain's report. Only the keepers have access to the station's systems, but Theobald stayed at his side the entire time and could not have initiated the self-destruct protocol.
Which means he did it before the report was filed, or maybe after, or...
Felek's stern face twists in disgust.
You dare suspect me of what happened? The one who is going out of his way to preserve what little there is still left? By the God Emperor, you will keep these slanderous accusations to yourself.
I trust you, Felek Orselio. Let us rescue your mistress.
Felek exhales loudly and smiles.
Thank you, rogue traitor. I don't even know what to say. Status and honor prevented me from admitting it before now, but you have awoken hope in me. Hope that I might actually leave this station together with the mistress, which is why I am about to ask one last favor of you. The lowly insurgents got their hands on a weapon that suppresses my navigator powers. Their absence makes me a living target, but this weapon is useless against you, as is the bunch of lunatics wielding it. I humbly ask you to deal with the scum huddling upstairs and hurry to adorn my mistress with the relic of our house, a sacred amulet against all evil. Recent events have badly disturbed Lady Kasha's psyche, and warp entities always lust for weaker souls, especially when the veil grows thin. You two will be safe next to this charm.
And what will I get in return?
You will get everything you wanted, a loyal navigator and the undying gratitude of House Orselio.
Very well, I will do it.
You are going to need this charm.
Felek hands you a precious stone without a setting. Its luminous surface remains cold to the touch no matter how long you hold it in your hand.
And may the God Emperor's light be with you.
The pale figure with unnaturally long limbs covers her face with her hands, which are deformed with talon-like nails. Her deathly pale face is coated with blood that continually streams from her scarlet-misted eyes. Her spiny gills, slightly hidden under her disheveled hair, twitch nervously at your approach. Only now do you notice the third eye on the young woman's forehead, hidden by a jeweled ornament. And when your eyes meet, you sense overwhelming, soul-smothering power. You are enveloped in despairing grief, and an invisible hand closes around your throat, cutting off your breath. Your limbs seem to fill with lead, your heart hammers in your chest, and the desire to turn and flee, from this room, from this station, almost gets the better of you. At the last moment, you master your emotions and your will pushes back against the illusion, forcing it to retreat. Idira emits something between a moan and a drawn-out whimper.
Ow, 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 as if my own little pals weren't bad enough. Now this one's barging into my head. Somebody stop her. Heresy.
Argenta looks at the tall figure with a strange mixture of anger and sadness. Then she lowers her head, and her white hair veils her face.
For persuasion, 100%, Lady Kasha. I am here to help you. Please calm yourself.
She wearily shakes her head and lets out a drawn-out sound similar to both a sob and the howl of a small wounded animal.
What is happening? Was someone calling my name? Are all the betrayers dead already? And you, who are you?
IRA von Valancius. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Unease settles over her features and she nods cautiously.
Pardon my manners, IRA. I did not expect to make such a gracious acquaintance in such a time of great sorrow for our house. What is this? I feel faint.
The heavy-set old man, who has been kneeling nearby, erupts into low sobs. His eyes, swollen from crying, dart desperately around the room, as though the veil of ignorance has just been ripped away from them.
The child, Lady Kasha, where are you? Sacred child? Throne preserve.
Despite his venerable age, the navigator leaps up and rushes to the young woman's side.
You.
The old man shifts, revealing his face to you. It is threaded with jet-black veins, and his bulging, milky eyes bear a striking resemblance to those of a dead fish. A sickly sweet scent assaults your nostrils, as if the old man's flesh is rotting inside his decaying husk.
My eyes fail me, for they are unable to make you out as either enemy or ally. I'm warning you, one wrong move will bring the wrath of House Orselio down upon your head.
Watch out, Lord Captain. This one's so deranged it's making the whispers shriek like crazy. He might just open that eye of his.
Threatening the head of the dynasty is a grave offense, esteemed, whoever you are.
Abelard places a hand on his weapon.
1. Persuasion, 100%. At present I am trying to determine what is happening on Urak V.
I'll grant that you do not look like pirates who have come coveting the riches of a wrecked station, or like scoundrels in Felek's service. So who are you?
Ira von Valancius, rogue trader.
Another rogue trader in our corner of the galaxy? How interesting. Your kind always make an appearance in desperate times, ready to cut a deal that benefits one side alone. Given that you have not so far drawn your weapons, your intentions are probably peaceful. And so House Orselio now asks a service of you. Save the life of the child in exchange for future cooperation. Do not hurry to answer. Think on it. You can make yourself an ally or an enemy of our house today. You decide.
What service do you ask of me?
Hope glimmers in the navigator's milky eyes.
Save the sacred child. Take her away from this station. I fear I do not have long left.
A bluish rivulet trickles down the old man's chin, and he wipes the mutated blood brusquely away with his sleeve. You glimpse strange burns covering his flesh under his clothing. The slightest movement must be causing him unbearable pain.
Save the child and deliver her safely to Regent Iranto, acting head of House Orselio, in the Coronis Expanse. Rest assured that the reward will be worth your effort.
I know we came here for a navigator, but, after everything we've seen, I've got some reservations about this girl.
Argenta looks at Kasha, and a painful furrow appears on her brow.
Such a fragile thing with such a heavy burden upon her shoulders.
I want to know what happened between you and Felek.
Felek is my wayward student. He came to Urak V as a callow youth. I personally mentored him and entrusted him with the care of the child. He was like a son to me, but he proved to be just another traitor. He sought to steal our most precious treasure, the heir of our house, our sacred child, to revel in power with others like him, casting our house into the abyss, to pervert the centuries-long traditions of our family. You can see the fruits of his villainy for yourself. He decided he was not bound by his duties to the legacy of the greatest of our Novaders, to Symphony Orselio, who led our house to prosperity for countless years. Foolish boy, the renegades clouded his mind. They sought to seize control of the dynasty before the sacred child had come of age and taken up the Novader's throne. So choose whose side you are on, a murderous traitor or the lawful scion of a noble house.
Theobald speaks these words softly, looking at the unconscious young woman with reverence.
Felek accused you of treachery, Theobald. Why should I trust your words?
Defending myself before strangers, I never thought I would fall so low.
The old man looks at the unmoving Kasha and shakes his head in resignation.
If the child's life were not at stake, very well, I have no choice, or proof of my innocence. I can give you my word as a member of the Novice Nobilite, if the honest word of an honorable man counts for anything with you. I guarded this station against calamity and incursions from without to the best of my ability. I forced the wardens to strictly observe security protocols. I personally selected every servant, and I faithfully protected the child during the coup.
You are talking as though you expect to die here.
Theobald shrugs indifferently.
My service to the house is coming to an end. The wounds Felek inflicted on my flesh will never heal. I am dying. Praise the throne, slowly enough to see that the child is taken care of.
How could you lose control of your own station?
Do not thrust my errors in my face. I am twice your age, and twice as wise. Take my advice. Trust no one but yourself and the Emperor. Even those closest to you will betray you for gold, power, or a far-fetched idea of a bright future.
You need help. There is a Medicae deck on my ship.
But Theobald only shakes his head.
No, I am the keeper of Urak V, and I will perish along with my station. On that note, I have other matters to attend to.
I believe I have made my decision.
Is that so? Please share your thoughts.
Felek is a true monster. Let's do away with him, together.
Theobald dips his head in favor of the proposition.
Allies are always welcome, even temporary ones. I will revive the child. Do not be alarmed. The power of House Orselio's heir will help us to destroy our enemies and shield us from Felix Navigator forces. But you, rest for a time before the battle.
It is as if the painting was rendered by several different hands. The timid, uncertain lines are interlaced with rough and furious strokes, coming together in arcane shapes. While no one appears to be living in the cage, somebody still filled the trough with dried fruit and fresh water.
Know your duty.
The Lady Navigator's private library is brimming with essays, novels, and personal accounts from the trailblazers and explorers of the Imperium.
While this may be an alliance of convenience, we shall follow you.
Let the faith guide my path to glory. The impure cannot escape their fate. You dare cross the faithful?
On it. What? Was that you? Or...
Actions will speak louder than words.
Faith without deeds is worthless. I'll do it. As the Emperor commands, I act.
Tried and tested tactics are the best ones. At your beck and call.
Weapon of the ready. Break them around.
I must be falter. Follow my lead. Deliver us!
Grey hair? Sure hair.
Die! Stay busy.
Cleanses the
I have read tomes of military tactics.
have I returned to the fold of your house as your destiny demands.
No! Don't leave me alone in this violet-brown haze! Wake up! Your mistress is giving you an order! Do you hear me?
He was a fine seer of the war. He fought for his mistress until the end.
Yeah, no. Enough's enough. I've had my fill of waterworks, thank you.
Forgive the urgency, but we should leave the station immediately. The systems are unstable and may fail at any moment.
But this is my home. What are you going to do to me?
Lady Kasha, let us aid one another. Become my navigator, and I shall restore you to House Orselio at the earliest opportunity.
I beg your pardon, but what about my servants? Yurak 5 is still full of people loyal to House Orselio.
All who can be saved will be given succor on board my ship.
Accompanying a rogue trader on their travels is an honor for any navigator. Let us go. I can no longer bear the sight of the deathly pale shadows that drape the bodies of the fallen.
Lord Captain, Lady Navigator, welcome aboard. The Sanctum Navis has been prepared for the communion ritual, but if the Lady Navigator wishes to rest in her quarters first.
Your heart starts beating furiously, your breaths come short and choppy, and your fingertips tingle unpleasantly. You notice that Vigdis is shivering slightly, and the crew are glancing around in puzzlement, searching for the source of this sudden wave of unease. Without even looking at the Vox Master, Kasha waves her away.
First I wish to speak with the robe trader. Leave us. Oh, of course, when you are ready for the ritual, please let me know.
Kasha sweeps her pensive gaze over Vigdis, then, lowering her lashes slightly, turns to you. What did you wish to speak about?
Before I begin the ritual, I wish to look once again into the eyes of the man whose fame is so great it managed to penetrate the impregnable walls of Uruk V long before we ever met. It truly is you, IRA, the person the whole Expanse and Calixis sector are talking about. And now, a robe trader as well.
After a few seconds hesitation, Kasha lets out a small exhale, and then raises her pointed chin.
I have not yet thanked you for saving me on the station. My thoughts were clouded with so much mournful ash when Theobald's heart stopped, but you acted honorably and did not exploit me in my wretched position. And for that I am immeasurably grateful. I am also deeply grateful that you saved my servants, especially my valet. You've served on the station for more than 5 years, much longer than any who preceded him. He knows how to properly attend to me during journeys through the Immatrium and what to serve me for breakfast. His presence envelops me in a cloak of amber. But now,
Kasha throws back her shoulders.
I am ready to go to the Sanctum Navis and perform the sacred rite. I require brushes, canvas, and the best paints you have on board, but no red.
Why are you asking for these items? Now is not the time to indulge in painting. Tell me more about what the ritual entails.
I doubt the uninitiated could understand the mysteries of navigation, but I shall try to explain the essence of it. I must merge my mind and will with the machine spirit of the ship, so that I become one with the vessel.
Kasha lifts a lock of hair from the back of her neck, revealing gilded implant ports.
After that, I use the House Orsleo ritual, which I am loath to reveal to you, to free my mind of all errant thoughts. And then it is time to open my third eye and peer into the depths of the warp itself. Among the nightmarish visions, mirages, and creatures of the abyss, only the light of the Emperor is the truth that will lead me from star to star, from system to system. Oh, the light, the guiding thread, so fine it can slip from one's grasp at any moment.
Kasha unfurls her hand as though dropping something.
But you have nothing to worry about. The navigators of House Orsleo never lose their course.
Why do you refuse red paint? Kasha gestures toward the servant standing beside her.
Yuv will give of his blood before the ritual, as always.
I shall ensure that all the necessary supplies are delivered to the Sanctum Novice. Kasha nods in thanks.
I shall take my leave of you for the duration of the rite. I ask that you do not follow me, few can survive the gaze of my warp eye when it is opened. Lord Captain, I will oversee the open channel between the Lady Navigator and the bridge, and may the Emperor's light help us all.
The Voxcaster in the Sanctum Novice picks up the susurration of clothes, pious chanting, and the metallic clicking of implants. Then the serene voice of the Lady Navigator breaks the silence. Initiating communion ritual. Come here, Yuv. The exultant ring of metal freed from its scabbard. The low sob of the servant. The rhythmic drip of liquid on canvas. The faint whisper of the brush. Go. Footsteps hurrying away. I see violet vortexes lashing an ocean with a million flails, and umber shadows spinning over the surface in a fiery dance, a storm rising above foaming waters. Armadas drowning in fog, the path from one end to another cannot be seen. And here, beyond the wall of glass, a daughter forsaken by her father yearns for her brother. And the sun's pale disk goes in tireless pursuit of her? No, of me. Its frozen rays lie that spring is here. The light is deadened. The great ruler is gone. The Vox Master recoils at Kasha's words and accidentally snaps one of the cogitator levers. The panel beneath her fingers emits sparks, and the Voxcaster falls silent. She quickly flips a series of switches and bows guiltily. My abject apologies for cutting off the broadcast, Lord Captain. I have never heard the warp speaking through a navigator before. The connection is restored now. It will not happen again. Vox Master, see to it that you receive 5 lashes for this show of clumsiness. What is happening to Kasha? Soul-shredding screams drown out the Vox transmission. The servants in the Sanctum Novice are howling and shrieking like wild beasts, moaning in pain, their throats raw from the strain. And then, sudden silence. The dull thud of dropping bodies proclaims their fate. It appears the servants were part of the Lady Navigator's rite, as it was for her predecessor. I will arrange for the bodies to be removed from the Sanctum Novice after the ritual, or what is left of them. Rogue traitor, I fear I have unfortunate news. Endless blackness has spread across the canvas, dividing what should be whole in two, and my sight cannot glimpse the light of the Emperor as clearly as before. I cannot turn around, my brush only draws me onward. The way is blocked. You hear a heavy exhale, rustling fabric, and metallic clicking. By the Emperor's grace, the ritual was successful. Your vessel's temperament presented a challenge. Its cold steel grip did not allow me to breathe freely even for a second. It was as if the depths of the ship housed not only machine spirits, but something other. Now I will retreat to my chambers to recover my strength. Send for me if you have need of me. Lord Captain, congratulations on acquiring a navigator. Please spare me a few moments of your time, as there are several matters that require your attention. First of all, I wish to report on the condition of the station, Rykad V. Had you opted to begin your visit to the Rykad system with a different destination, the station could have become critically unstable. Fortunately, the decision to immediately visit the representatives of the Novice Nobilite bought us precious time. We can either focus our efforts on disassembling the station and procuring technological components for our own vessel or attempt to save as many valuables as we can. 2. Gather any components that may be of use on the ship. As you command, Lord Captain. With your permission, I would also like to remind you that we are still looking for an Engineer Prime. Both the vessel and its machine spirits are in desperate need of oversight by an experienced tech priest. We are also missing some crew, and, much more importantly, we have not yet located Heinrichs van Calix, the right hand of the Lord Inquisitor. Now we know for certain he was not at Rykad V, so we should keep this in mind when making any future plans. Thank you, Vigdis. This will be all for now. As it pleases you, Lord Captain. Lord Captain, there is some commotion on the officer's deck. The Lady Navigator has left her quarters and is currently in the wardroom, where uninitiated crew members are shunning her in terror. Perhaps you should find out what has brought Kasha to the deck.
did not notice your entrance.
It pleases me to see you adjusting to life aboard the ship.
Compared to Urak 5, your ship is a boundless world of unfamiliar hues. And yet, the abundance of bright colors can at times be wearisome on the eyes. The bridge and the decks are so clamorous. In my search for a place of quiet, I was fortunate to come upon this islet of serenity filled with rare tomes and practically devoid of color.
The events that took place on Urak V must have shaken you greatly. Are you well?
One should not underestimate the navigators of House Orselio, Lord Captain. Like a shawl of pale smoke, a faint malaise hangs upon my shoulders, but it will not be the slightest hindrance to my duty to humanity, and my duty to you.
I hope that you have had ample time to calm yourself and your powers.
There are people on this ship who are far more impulsive and dangerous to others, and far less devoted to the God Emperor than a herald of the Navis nobility. But I did not need your words to see the shades of umber unease that whirl around your subjects whenever I am near. Were I not acquainted with such a reaction, I could have found their behavior and your question just now insulting.
Your only attendant is your valet from Urak V. Do my servants not measure up to your standards?
No, no. It is not that at all, Lord Captain. It is just that Uwe is quite capable of carrying out his duties by himself. He is well accustomed to my whims and preferences.
Kasha cringes ever so slightly, adjusts the adornment on her forehead, then awkwardly hides her clawed fingers in the folds of her clothes. The unnatural appearance of navigators often becomes the topic of gossip among lowly servants and officers alike. It is unsurprising, then, that Kasha prefers the company of one who is used to how she looks.
Point at the book in Kasha's hands. I see you are fond of reading.
Oh, this. I found this fascinating read on one of the shelves, and I must say, it has caught my eye. Its every chapter is written in verse. I find it so beautiful and enrapturing. Urak 5 had a vast archive of its own, of course, although most of the works within had to do with scholarly disciplines of some sort or another. Only in my sparse moments of respite was I allowed to escape into the pages of more embellished works. Lord Captain, would you kindly explain to me why you are pestering me with these questions? Inquiring about my mood and my needs, showing an interest in the books I am enjoying? You are behaving as if you possessed a shred of fellow feeling for one such as I. I beg your pardon, Lord Captain. That was no way for a navigator to conduct herself.
You have nothing to apologize for. Human emotions are natural, be they good or bad, and it is just as natural to share them with others.
Please forgive me. I cannot even understand myself right now. Your words and attention have reminded me of life on the station, of Theobald and Felek. I do not understand. They were merely the keepers of Urak 5. So why do memories of those two make me feel a strange heaviness here? At the same time, I find myself overwhelmed with new excitement and anticipation. At last, I have set foot outside my familiar walls and into a world that I have only seen before in the pages of books. Your ship alone is a treasure trove of remarkable artifacts and curiosities. And just imagine the things that await beyond, but my delight must seem childish to you, surely.
In your heart, you must be finding all this quite amusing.
I understand what you are going through. My own life was turned upside down not too long ago.
Indeed. I did not know. That is to say, I could not have known, as it is the first time we are speaking in a circumstance so private. My word, when I found this place, it was so full of officers. Why did they all leave?
I do not tolerate idlers on this ship, and my officers know it well.
Then, I must take my leave as well. I am due to inspect the Sanctum Navis after the communion ritual and prepare the chamber for the upcoming warp jump. Thank you for your company.
Have you ever heard the name Fiery Reckoning? From what I can tell, it is a void ship of some sort. There was a mention of it in one of Theodora's documents I found.
Janrys thinks for a moment, pursing his lips in concentration.
I am afraid it is not immediately familiar to me, your lordship. Please, allow me a moment.
He starts rapidly tapping on the screen of his data slate.
I say, House von Valancius did indeed sign a contract with the owners of a vessel with the designation Fiery Reckoning. There are transactions, records of the ship picking up cargo from Kiava Gamma. Well, this is odd. The data log ends there. Apparently, the ship had some interactions with one of the workshops on your industrial world. I beg your pardon, your lordship, but that is the extent of the assistance I can provide you in regard to this particular matter.
I want to know more about the people who buy our plunder.
Of course, Lord Captain. Who interests you exactly? We most often deal with the followers of Saint Drusus, the Explorators, the Casbalica Mission, or, Emperor forgive us, the Fellowship of the Void.
Why are we giving away our spoils to these people in the first place?
To profit from them, of course. Most of the things you will find during expeditions are complete junk to one such as yourself, but the less fortunate and affluent servants of the Emperor think them treasures, especially when they are bestowed by the great rogue trader himself. Drusian fanatics and pirate cutthroats, Casbalica dealers, and explorators. None will refuse our help in these dark and trying times. And there may come a time when we shall be the ones requiring aid, and it would be beneficial to have allies willing to provide it.
I suggest we change the subject. I would like to replace the painting of the late Theodora in my chambers. Hang my portrait instead.
Janrys bows obsequiously.
It will be done, your lordship.
Lord Captain, sorry to disturb you. Victus pauses, as if listening to something. It's pandemonium outside the bridge gate. One of the officers seems to be demanding an audience with you in person. I think I hear Master Wersirian's voice. In any case, I wanted to warn you in advance. The everyday sounds of the bridge are disrupted by voices raised in anger, Abelard's voice the loudest of all.
This is not the conduct of an officer. These are the antics of a highborn brat out on a lark. Explain yourself, Lieutenant.
The young woman standing before Abelard strives with all her might not to quail under the onslaught of her superior's anger. She falters but then manages to look him in the eye and say,
I apologize, sir, but I must speak to the Lord Captain.
Very well, Lieutenant. You may address the Lord Captain, not least because I see you have already seen fit to disturb him. Your unauthorized appearance on the bridge and display of belligerence toward a higher-ranking officer will be logged on your personal file without delay.
Lord Captain, Lieutenant Avril Event, requesting permission to speak.
Vent falls silent, and then adds rashly,
On a matter of extreme importance and urgency.
You may speak, but I want to hear a report, not a shouting match. Having two officers bickering in full view of the bridge is unacceptable.
I am sorry, Lord Captain. I thought that drastic times called for drastic measures.
Vent exclaims hotly.
This matter cannot wait. Any minute now, an assault unit will be dispatched to the lower decks on orders to crush the workers' strike by any means necessary. But I am convinced that this step is unwarranted, and that the crisis itself was provoked by the actions of one of the senior officers.
Vent is almost trembling with tension as she delivers her speech, her face extremely pale. Abelard, in no hurry to intervene, lets out a skeptical huff. He glances at Sourback, who is standing not far from him, but she maintains a stony expression.
Lord Captain, I urge you to investigate the actions of Seneschal Wersirian, and to intervene in what's happening on the lower decks, because very soon we will have a mutiny or a massacre on our hands.
Vent reels off the last words as though she knows them by heart. She has clearly been preparing to say them for some time. When she is finished, she casts an anxious glance at Abelard, then at you.
Where does Seneschal Wersirian come into all this?
I shall explain.
Abelard intones grimly.
I beg you to hurry. Time is running out.
I will not hurry. Since my competence is under scrutiny, I shall speak for as long as I see fit. There is an established order to the way things are done on this ship, and one of the pillars of that system is that the rogue trader's attention is not distracted by trivial matters. It is the Seneschal's role to ensure that. I have always handled internal problems myself, so, of course, when I received information about cultists hiding on the lower decks, I took the matter in hand. So long as I live, not one of the vermin who murdered Theodora von Valancius will find refuge on her ship.
You are far too heavy-handed, Seneschal Wersirian. Arrests, interrogations, mass punishments for entire sectors. It has driven the people to the brink.
Vent says bitterly.
Now there is a strike on the lower decks, in Depot 4, to be precise. 3 worker clans are involved, but many more are passively supporting them. The situation could degenerate into an all-out insurrection. But when I reported my concerns, the only response I received was an order to dispatch an assault unit and crush the strike with maximum force.
What is Depot 4?
Depot 4 is one of the poorest sectors on the lower decks. It is home to clans of general laborers. They are not as valuable to the ship as the families who have served its specialized systems for generations. They are an easily replaceable resource, and one which is now, more besides, giving succor to cultists and minions of the archenemy.
Depot 4 is poor and troubled, but at worst that means drunken fights and illegal rock-gut brewing. We have handled the workers of Depot 4 in the past. We would have done so again, if the crackdown on Depot 4 hadn't been so harsh. And another important point to bear in mind, the problem is not limited to this sector. It is located on one of the most populated lower decks, and everything that happens there has a knock-on effect on all the neighboring sectors.
Master-at-Arms, the ship's enforcers report to you, and yet you seem hesitant to provide your own perspective.
Lord Captain, unlike Lieutenant Vent, I respect the chain of command and realize that it is not within my right to challenge my superiors.
Sourback bows her head in Abelard's direction. However, a moment later, a serpentine smile appears on her lips.
That being said, while I entirely share Master Wosirian's opinion on what fate Depot for deserves, I must note that this insubordination is a direct consequence of practices that he himself has introduced.
Mistress Sourback, I see you have decided to follow the lieutenant's example after all. Such behavior does you no credit.
Abelard, do you wish to respond?
Mistress Sourback, can you recall an occasion where I would encourage an officer to disobey their superior? Or one where I would overrule their order? Or show favoritism to those who merited none?
None, Seneschal, for there have been no such cases in the entire time I have served aboard this ship. If anyone were to claim otherwise, I would have them pay for insulting your honor with blood. Your conduct in this regard have always been spotless. Nevertheless, given your eminent position, a simple show of attention on your part is enough to erode the propriety of junior officers, inflate their sense of self-importance, and undermine discipline. That you distinguish some of them and know them by name is tantamount to walking around the officers' deck handing out gifts to officers who have caught your eye. It fills those you set apart with ambition and audacity, makes them stand out among the rest. Enforcers are meant to be faceless servants, fighters ready to die, their fate entrusted to their commander and no one else. That is the sole foundation of order.
Sourback, explain yourself.
The ship's regulations state that the Master-at-Arms is responsible for resolving all matters related to the ship's enforcers, and yet it is no secret that the Seneschal has a tendency to show partiality. Those enforcers and officers whom he has deemed particularly promising are at times given permission to approach him for tutelage. I cannot deny Master Wosirian's experience and insight. The Seneschal has a record of fostering students who have indeed achieved much and demonstrated impeccable performance. However, extending such patronage over the head of their immediate superior encourages disregard for hierarchy among your lordship's servants. Today, an enforcer goes to the Seneschal to report an order from the Master-at-Arms that they happen to disagree with. Tomorrow, they will go to the Lord Captain to object to the Seneschal's order. I notice a pattern in these actions.
Lieutenant Vent, would you say the Seneschal has singled you out from your peers in any way?
Lord Captain, I swear that Seneschal Wosirian has never granted me any privileges, never once advocated for me, nor facilitated my promotions. Although, he is the man who convinced me to become an officer in the first place. He has offered me extensive guidance in my service, for which I am grateful to him. And while not all my fellows receive such attention, I know of at least a dozen fine officers whom the Seneschal keeps in his sights to ensure that they continue to strive.
To prepare new generations of the dynasty's servants, to instruct them, and to separate those with potential from those who have exhausted it. That is my duty as Seneschal. This ship has bays worth of pilots, enforcers, officers, technicians, and stewards whom I have raised personally. By the throne, every third person standing on this bridge right now was my student at one point.
I see.
Evidently, my officers are anything but a shining example of unity and adherence today. I have only myself to blame, I suppose.
How did all this start?
The situation could boil over at any minute, so I'll give you the condensed version. It all began when the enforcers found a cultist amulet on the body of someone who'd been killed in a drunken brawl. We reported it up the chain immediately, arranged for a cleansing rite to be performed, and opened an investigation. No heretics have been found alive, but the search has brought tensions between enforcers and workers to a head.
Abelard, what do you have to say to all this?
I see no need to add anything. I acted within the remit of my authority, guided exclusively by the best interests of your protectorate and your personal safety. If you wish to confirm the rectitude of my actions for yourself, I have no objections.
For my part, I urge the Lord Captain to go down to the lower decks, stop the assault unit, and speak directly to the people. You will see that they are not lying, or harboring heretics. That way, you will stop the uprising before it begins.
I've heard enough. I will go down to the lower decks and deal with the problem personally.
Praise the Emperor.
Vent cannot contain her relief.
Thank you, Lord Captain.
Abelard grits his teeth slightly.
An enterprise bordering on the sophomoric, but please yourself, Lord Captain. However, I categorically insist that I escort you.
Lord Captain, I regret that the enforcers were unable to handle the situation, which then led to your and the Seneschal's involvement. I consider it my duty to go to depot for myself and see to the expedient resolution of this incident.
Abelard reflexively wipes the sweat from his brow in a startlingly human gesture, and a telling one, a rare moment where he allows his age and weariness to show through his armor-like veneer of self-assurance.
The lower decks are a source of endless problems. Sometimes I dearly regret that we cannot replace all the locals with servitors.
Let's keep moving. We need to get to the bottom of this.
Something resembling a nest made out of thermal insulation material. This must be where the workers sleep between shifts. Inside the box, a string of scratched letters runs along the edge, different first names but the same surname. It looks like this box has been passed down in the family from generation to generation.
We are bound by the blood of martyrs.
I still do not see our purpose in coming here.
Relax, old man. Going for a stroll on the lower decks every once in a while is good for you. Lets you see how the simple folk live.
The sounds of a heated discussion reverberate through the ship's bays. Lieutenant Avril Event of the ship's enforcers is barring the path of her superior, Master-at-Arms Jocasta Sourback, who has arrived clad in armor. Judging by their expressions and tone, the standoff has dragged on for some time already and has now reached boiling point.
Lieutenant Vent, my patience is wearing thin. I have given you an order, now get out of my way. I cannot comply with that order.
Vent looks shaken, but there is fire in her eyes.
This is my deck and my sector. So long as this area remains under the Lord Captain's special oversight, no action can be taken without my express permission. There are only 3 people who are authorized to make me stand down: the first officer, the rogue trader, and the Emperor himself.
So not all my lessons fall on deaf ears.
Abelard mutters in crabby approval. He does not clarify whether he means Vent, Sourback looming over her, or both.
Your Lordship.
Noticing you, the 2 officers snap to attention and salute, their subordinates following suit a moment later.
What's the situation?
Your Lordship, my people have locked down the bay where the strikers are, including their leaders. We have the situation under control as far as resources allow. Under control, Lieutenant. I came here to lead an investigative unit, and what do I see? The rabble is on the verge of mutiny. There is nothing to investigate. This simply calls for immediate repressions and firing squads. And you, Vent, are a step away from facing charges yourself.
I want to speak to the strikers.
Abelard's mouth twists, but he restrains himself and says nothing.
Right you are, Lord Captain. Allow me to wish you good luck.
Hope gleams in Lieutenant Vent's eyes.
Let us walk this path to
The
the end.
enforcers have tormented us enough. Our children are, wow, nobles from the upper decks, down here to see us.
Greetings, your graces.
A dozen pairs of eyes stare apprehensively at you. The people before you are typical inhabitants of the lower decks. You take in their simple clothing, crude weapons, and faces that display varying levels of mutation, from the barely discernible, to the strange, to the outright grotesque. A whisper passes through the crowd, and you detect a mixture of fear, astonishment, and joy in their reactions. Finally, 3 people break away from the crowd, an elderly woman and 2 men. These must be the leaders. They bow clumsily before you.
El Lord Captain, you have come down to us.
Tell me what is troubling you. Why are you striking?
Striking? That's news to us, why your lordship?
Says a tall, thin man in worker's garb.
All we're doing is asking questions, saying what we think.
Shut up, Rivet.
Snaps the old woman, who turns her hostile dark eyes on you.
Here's the deal, your lordship. Your damned enforcers are all over us down here. They say they're looking for cultists, one wrong word and they're reaching for their batons. If they want to punish someone, they turn off the heating to whole base for a week at a time, so we get sick and freeze. In my clan, 2 little ones died from inflammation in their lungs, all because of those enforcers.
The old woman spits on the floor and rubs at the spittle with the toe of her worn-out shoe. Argenta does not interrupt the workers, but you see the sadness well in her eyes when the children's deaths are mentioned. She quietly whispers a requiem prayer and makes a sign over herself.
It's all true. Vent is the only enforcer officer who stood up for us. It's clear as day who had a mother from the lower decks, and who grew up amidships, and has no fellow feeling toward us.
The grim man with a scarred face throws up his arms.
Your lordship, we're no villains here. We're honest workers, your servants. We've plotted no disorder, we went on strike openly, and now we've got guns pointed at us. All we're doing is asking to be allowed to work in peace, without being harassed.
The persecution started apropos of nothing, you say? I was told that one of you was found in possession of a cultist amulet, and that there are heretics hiding here.
A cultist amulet? What's that? The gewgaw they found on the dead drunkard? If it was something evil or forbidden, we sure didn't know. The enforcers just said they were looking for heretics among us, and anyone obstructing their investigation would be punished. But how could there be heretics here? We know our own people. There have been no new faces around. Definitely not. And if there were, we'd be the first to report them.
And as for this amulet, or whatever it is, they took it off a dead body. There are no cultists still breathing in our sector, that's for sure. But when that fight broke out, some enterprising folks looted the bodies. The boots they came back with, nobody's ever tread these decks in boots so fine. I can tell you that. Seems to me these cultists have better commanders than us.
Oh yeah? Those boots really were fine. And there was no harm in taking them, right? As for the amulet, it must have been pocketed by someone who didn't know any better. We don't need any amulets around here. We all worship the Emperor, and when we're working we bow down before the machine spirits of the large and small transformers and the servo motor. The same way my grandfather was taught 100 years ago by a tech priest who came calling. Believe us, your lordship, we are people of faith.
Naive children, weren't you taught from an early age about the dangers of the archenemy's creations? Weren't you warned that any unfamiliar object could be one of them? We were told, Holy Sister, but it was long ago. The last time we saw a confessor in our sector, it was just after I'd had my 3rd little one. That is regrettable, but you cannot lay the burden of leading a righteous life on the shoulders of the Holy Fathers. Who will you blame when beasts crawl out of those amulets you stole from the heretics? The Holy Father who was not there, or the scavenger who brought evil down on himself and his neighbors?
Abelard, do you have anything to add?
I authorize the use of all necessary measures to locate Chaos worshippers hiding in this sector. The specific steps taken by the officers were not reported to me.
Abelard frowns, clearly disgruntled at having to explain himself in the workers' presence.
Nevertheless, I am certain that their actions were justified. Cultists are no drunken stevedores. They are the enemy and a threat to the ship. Neutralizing them demands decisive action.
Sourback, was it really necessary to torture these people with cold?
The rabble understands only one language, Lord Captain, that of violence. As per regulations, should the laborers persist in their unwillingness to cooperate, the next step is limiting air supply and cutting off water, which is almost certain to restore order. The peasants can grumble all they want, but in the end, they are the source of their own misery. All they have to do is bow their heads and fall in line, and the need for punitive measures will disappear.
We were attacked on the way here. How do you explain that?
Here's an explanation for you. The people have been pushed to their limit, and now they are lashing out. As if we don't know why these top deck units are being sent down here, like that one there that the lieutenant won't let past.
Our clans are all inside the bay that's been sealed off, but the lower decks are big. I'm sure there are some people who've had just about enough. We're getting it from all sides. The soldiers have encircled the ones who've risen up. A death squad has just arrived. It's no wonder folks are lashing out.
Their words seem sincere to you. Their body language and the glances traded between them reveal that the news of the attack has shocked them.
What changes do you want?
Would you look at this? The exalted Lord Captain himself is asking us bilge rats what we want. Well, here's what. We want you to rein in your damned enforcers, to quit turning off the heat, and to stop battering everything that moves. No, that's not it. We want the enforcers gone from here, and we want to be armed. Give us arms, and we'll govern ourselves. We'll defend ourselves if these cultists do show their faces. I've been leader of my clan for 20 years now. Getting rid of these club-wielding thugs can only improve things around here.
You've gone too far, old man. They'll never let the maggots on the lower decks live without the enforcers breathing down their necks. They probably even insist on enforcers on the upper decks too. As for weapons, what do we need them for? Before the first day's out, we'll have someone shooting their neighbor out of stupidity or drunkenness. We don't need that. If the enforcers stop hassling us, that'll be enough. In return, we'll find the scavengers who robbed the cultists' bodies, and we'll talk to them, one lower decker to another. If there are any more of those damned amulets about, we'll hand them over to the enforcers ourselves.
You speak for yourself and your clan, and I'll speak for me and mine. I don't want empty gestures, I want real change. They'll promise us the world now, but as soon as the Anointed One turns his back, these brutes will be on us even harder than before, all because we dared to speak out.
The tall worker's eyes dart between the two arguing leaders. Every few seconds, he opens his mouth as if planning to agree, but each time he falls silent, simply making a few vague noises of approval.
3. Coercion, 100%. Spreading anarchy on the ship is the first step toward embracing chaos. Putting weapons into untrained hands would be even worse. What's more, the enforcers are needed to maintain oversight and order. Withdraw those demands and we will consider the rest. Thoughts, Abelard?
The story about going scavenging for boots and accidentally picking up a heretical amulet doesn't convince me. These people were moments away from rebelling and, possibly, becoming minions of the archenemy. We must not give them what they want. Even if they did acquire something innocently, purely out of their own stupidity, that does not mean they are not tainted with corruption. What begins as petty thievery can turn into a far graver problem. I have seen it before.
Abelard's face darkens momentarily.
In my second war, there was a sergeant in the Imperial Guard regiment that was stationed nearby. The sergeant took an ordinary pocket knife from the body of a heretic, and his whole unit lost their lives for it. When they finally managed to break into the barracks, they found not a single survivor, only the pocket knife, which had grown through all the rows of beds like a metal choking vine. So, when it comes to scavengers, malcontents, strikers, or whatever they'll turn into next, my verdict is simple: give them no quarter.
Master-at-Arms, where do you stand?
Give the rabble a grox, and they will take an agri-world, Lord Captain. They only understand brute force and will interpret any concession as a sign of weakness. Giving them weapons and recalling the enforcers would be folly. It would only be a matter of time before we had a full-scale mutiny on our hands.
The tall worker they call Rivet shrugs and casts a sidelong look at the old woman.
Old man, listen. Listen. The Lord Captain himself has come down to us and is offering concessions. And I don't know a single person in the whole of Depot 4 who's ever stood next to the rogue trader, let alone talk to them. Back down. Now's no time for you to be a stubborn old crone. Listen to us, old man. The 3 clans of Depot 4 ought to act as one. We've made our minds up. It's your turn to decide. Don't ask them to disband the enforcers or give us weapons. We don't need any of that.
The old woman hisses in dissatisfaction.
You two are ganging up on me, is that it? So brave you are against an old woman, but I'll shut up. I will, indeed. I won't go against two clan leaders on my own. If you want to make peace with the enforcers, make your peace.
That's great, just fantastic. Lord Captain, we're all agreed.
Then it's decided. The persecution will stop. And I will expect you to assist in locating any remaining amulets or weapons left by the cultists.
Your lordship, thank you. You have not abandoned us lower deckers. You came yourself and settled everything. I'll tell my grandchildren about this. Of course, your lordship. We'll root out any nasty business faster than the enforcers, and we'll leave no stone unturned.
Pay attention.
The divine watches over us.
The heat sink warms the air around it to a scorching temperature. This is the warmest part of the bay. The workers have even dragged deck chairs here. This page is where the start of each shift is marked. The last mark is missing. The workers went on strike. The gauge shows that the steam pressure in this pipe is close to the maximum. However, it does not reach the bars at the other end.
Let the faith guide my path to
Nothing is
glory.
happening. Perhaps turning a different valve will work. Nothing is happening. Perhaps turning a different valve will work.
I need to
Nothing
look
is happening.
closer.
Perhaps turning a different valve will work. Nothing is happening. Perhaps turning a different valve will work.
We shall reclaim what is rightfully ours.
Nothing is happening. Perhaps turning a different valve will work. Nothing is happening. Perhaps turning a different valve will work. Nothing is happening.
We are
Perhaps turning a
bound
different
by the
valve will
blood
work.
of martyrs. I have proven
Unlocked.
myself yet again.
Stopping unexpectedly, Abelard imperiously dismisses the unit to stand at a distance and addresses your other companions, saying,
I have an urgent matter to discuss with the Lord Captain. Please give us a moment.
Abelard looks at you, and his last vestiges of restraint vanish.
Well, are you pleased with your investigation, Lord Captain? You kowtowed to the disloyal rabble. You believed their lies and showed them leniency. Next time the ship is attacked by cultists, that rabble will welcome them in with open arms and allow them to wreak whatever havoc they like, because they see you as a weak leader. Is that how you see your future at the helm of the Von Valancius Protectorate?
Do not speak to your Lord Captain in that tone.
I am obliged to speak thus. Who else can point out your errors and offer you counsel?
Let's talk about your role in all this instead. You allowed this revolt to happen. Your actions practically guaranteed it would.
I would have handled the situation myself had you not decided to intervene.
Abelard says irascibly.
Remember Lord Captain Theodora. Do you think she ever set one slippered foot on the lower decks? No, she did not. Such matters were left to myself and the junior officers while she dedicated herself to her grand designs for the Protectorate, as any true strategist and rogue trader ought.
Maybe if Theodora had spent more time on trifling matters, she wouldn't have wound up dead. There is a new Lord Captain aboard this ship now, and I will not repeat her mistake.
Abelard looks at you, stunned, and exhales loudly. Then he nods curtly.
I commend your decisiveness, but I am uncomfortable with introducing new protocols in the midst of a crisis. And
Abelard stands straight at attention.
I lost my temper, Lord Captain, and I believe I ought to explain myself.
Abelard speaks slowly, the words not coming easily to him.
The prosperity of the Von Valancius Protectorate is not just an empty phrase to me. I left the Imperial Navy for the chance to see it flourish. It was the most momentous decision of my life. I did it because I saw in Lord Captain Theodora's deeds the sign of true greatness. Rogue traders do not simply forge new routes and capture worlds. They create order out of anarchy. That creative impulse was entirely lacking during my time in the military. So I left behind everything I had known, everything my family had known. I come from a long line of officers, and I embarked upon this incredibly reckless venture. Lord Captain Theodora entrusted me with all the concerns she had no time for. She would go off on her flagship for long periods, to distant frontiers, on scouting voyages, and the advancement of the entire protectorate rested on my shoulders. And then suddenly, everything that had been built over years and years began to quake, rattling like a flimsy hangar on a seismically active world. One of the senior officers betrayed us all, the rogue trader was killed, and who knows what is happening on the planets. I tell you this honestly, without fear of appearing weak. All this has come as a grievous blow to me. I am not panicking or grieving because I cannot allow myself to panic or grieve. I am duty-bound to aid the new rogue trader, to aid you, to find your footing as quickly as possible. And to do that, I must insulate you from problems that in the past have been dealt with by tried and tested procedures set out in the ship's regulations. Procedures that were established long ago and have functioned smoothly for decades cannot suddenly be deemed excess to requirements.
I understand, but you need to learn how to respect me as your Lord Captain and Rogue Trader. Accept it, and start living in the new world. A world where Theodora is gone, and where you and I have new decisions to make.
Abelard solemnly inclines his head.
Yes, Lord Captain.
After a moment's silence, he adds, looking at you with interest.
Your resolve is admirable and demonstrates strong leadership. I shall remember this moment, should my old habits ever begin to creep back in. And now, please, let us leave the lower decks. If the rogue trader desires to stretch his legs, there are far more suitable places.
All right, we'll leave it at here. We did get the navigator, and we did get the the mutiny and dock force settled. So I think that's gonna be it for today. Thank you very much for dropping by. I appreciate it, and see you again, guys, tomorrow when we continue the story. Have a good one. Bye.